Mic. Camera. Action.
Better not hurt my bump.
Engine 2 is out! March along, man! What do you want to do? I think we need to pull a Panama! Panama? A Panama?
Panama?
You think? Really? Yeah!
No Panama.
Really?
Somebody pick up. They're ignoring me. They're ignoring me. Everybody's ignoring me. Pick up the phone.
Take it! We're doing a Panama! We're doing a Panama! What's a Panama? Navy thing. I didn't know you were in Panama. We were in Nicaragua. Then why do you call it a Panama? We thought we were in Panama.
No Panama.
All right. Welcome back to Filmography, the show dedicated to watching every credited film from an actor's complete back catalogue, from past debut through to present day, in chronological order. Each episode, I'm joined by an esteemed guest to watch and discuss the next entry from the focused filmography and consider how it ranks amidst their career and whether we can trace any typecasting trends or topic traits or theatrical tics. Today's guest is the 20th Century Geek, Scott Weatherly, and today's film is Breck Eisner's Sahara from 2005. Easy for me to say. We watch, you listen, and hopefully watch along too. And in a rare kind of occasion for what has been the start of this reconnaissance, I actually mean this is one you should probably watch along to. At other times I've used the catchphrase, but I haven't really meant it. So, Scott, what do you think? Do you think this is one that is actually worth watching?
Are we going straight to the end? Are we?
No,
I do think watch along. Yeah. I was listening to, because I have been listening along. I haven't watched along with all of them. But the availability isn't always there, and this one, we'll talk about the availability of this one being a bit of a surprise. But then there's other films, Reign of Fire, which I know you talked about with Tony, and you talked about U571, and all these other films. You go, yeah, that's worth watching. It's just sort of a, that kind of thing. It may not be a classic, or it may not be a thing, but you think, yeah, worth watching along. It's a much like this, like a Saturday afternoon kind of film, or
for sure, yeah,
that kind of thing. So no, I think this is a watch along. I recommend this as a watch along, definitely. Now, I would say, do I recommend it as a read along? That's a different story. Because this is obviously based on the Clive Cussler novel Sahara from 1992. That's, I think, close to like 400 or 500 something pages long. I did read it, and I know you did as well.
I did the audiobook version. Yeah, that was 19 hours. Yeah,
and the stories are about the same.
Yeah.
It's there's bits and pieces. The one thing I love though about this, and it's as we get into it, the film version very much centers on Dirk Pitt looking for this ironclad, this Civil War ship,
the Texas. Yeah,
the Texas. You could remove every reference to the Texas from the novel, and nothing changes.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's really bizarre. It's a literal bookend of the story. Like it's like Clive Cussler went, I learned about this today. I'm gonna write about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's not many. There are the anomalies, aren't there? But this is definitely an occasion. And the film isn't perfect, and we'll get into that. But the film is definitely better than the book for me.
Yes, absolutely.
By the end of that 19 hours, I was just willing it to be over. There's so many different plots and so much kind of extraneous exposition in it. I read a few reviews, and they're absolutely spot on. It's this idea of like, you've just read something happening, and in the next chapter, a character describes to another character what just happened. Read. It's painful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So good for you for keeping. I mean, audiobook was easy. I mean, I'm busy. I'm cycling. I'm doing chores, whatever it is. Like, I was just sort of doing it whilst living my life. But you sat and plowed through that. So kudos to you.
It's an interesting book for that reason. I thought like, it's one of the longest of the Dirk Pitt novels. I read one many, many years ago. One of the really early ones, like The Rise of the Titanic, or one of those kind of ones. One of the early ones. And I remember kind of that, and I think that was like 200 and something pages. I remember thinking that was like, oh, this is kind of dry and not the adventure book I thought it was going to be. And yeah, this is very similar. It's in that same vein where I'm like, there's bits that are good.
Yeah.
You know, some of the action is quite good, but some of it is incredibly, like, I don't know. The end of it, ends in a siege.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
And the end to the third act, the finale, is very well done, and actually I really enjoyed it. But the kind of like adventure bits, the action bits along the way, as you said, so they feel so contrived and odd at times that I'm just sort of like, you know, but where my head is at, and often this is, you know, I'm writing a lot about the pulps at the moment, the 30s, not, you know, 1930s pulps and stuff, you know, Doc Savage, the Shadow, the Spider, all those kinds of characters. And when I read that book, I was just like, oh, Clive Cussler clearly likes pulp novels. He's read a lot of Doc Savage. This is more violent and stuff, but, you know, this is a cross between Doc Savage and James Bond.
Yeah, yeah. Or as for the film version, Indiana Jones and James Bond. Absolutely,
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to be reading any more Clive Cussler, but I would have probably watched more Dirt Pit films.
I feel exactly the same. That was my first Cussler. And, you know, I agree. Action, well done. Geography, he's really good at. Like, you understand where people are, which often actually films are quite bad at. I think we've discussed these kind of ideas before, and we've done various films. But other than that, yeah. And the range of things that happen in the book, and they kind of scale it down a little bit here, which I think was wise, is ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Like, they stop this global disaster, they stop a warlord, they find the Texas, they find some three.
Yeah, and they find some random
Kitty Maddox's
plane.
Down plane. I mean, the bloody book takes 100 pages to get going. You've got 2 massive long prologues before you even meet Dirt Pit. It's crazy.
Yeah. I also just like how in the book, Dirt Pit is the kind of, we have these characters. There's the Jack Reachers, you know, the James Bonds. Dirt Pit is very much in that vein, isn't he? Sort of like him and Giordino, and you know, they march across the desert for days, near death, and then manage to turn a plane into a sort of a glider. And then at the end of it, like once they've sort of been found, it's like 4 hours later, and it's like after a shower and some water, Pitt was back to his old self and ready to fight, and you're just like, man, this is just
he's ridiculous. The ultimate kind of Gary Sue, isn't he? In the book.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
He's a bit less in the movie, I think. In the book, he's like perfection incarnate, isn't he? He's just knows everything, could do anything. I'll just make a trebuchet basically for the siege at the end, and like you say, I'll make this land surfer.
It makes the A-team look ineffectual, is what it is. It's sort of like, you know, I really, when he makes the trebuchet in the book and with the catapult,
they call it something else, don't they? But that is what it is, basically, isn't it? Yeah.
But they're using it to sort of fire, like, basically, you know,
oil drums, isn't it?
Oil drums at the oncoming army. I was absolutely like, you know, in my head, I've just seen the montage scene of like Murdoch's welding, you know, BA's carrying a bunch of steel. I was like, this is totally like the A-team. It's every possible cliche you could stuff in a book, and then more, because he's like, also, I want to shove in historical context for these things that like have no
Abraham
on the story.
was on the Texas. Oh, was he? Okay. Yeah, this film wisely gets rid of that subplot too. So it does a good job of paring that down, I think, and gets right in, because we start, don't we? Like, kind of the Texas is already being attacked, and so this one kind of drops you in. It uses that as its main kind of drive. But I agree with you. I think the kind of treasure hunting nature that is the catalyst for this is a much better kind of motivation than the idea they're like these men on this mission to save the world. They kind of do that by proxy here, but the fact that really their kind of Pitt just cares about achieving his goal and being looking cool and making money, and it has that sense of growth for him a little bit by the end of the movie. I think it allows for that. I don't know if you felt the same.
No, I agree. I think it does. I think, because you're right. The Dirk Pit of the book is the same at the beginning, middle, and end. Like there is no change. But no, this one, the McConaughey pit definitely has an arc where, the start of the film, he's obsessed with the Texas. He works for Numa. Like he's basically got like this sort of adventurous lifestyle where they're
Numa being the what was it, National Underwater Marine Agency?
Yeah, although they are international, so it's
and land, sea, and air. They're Navy SEALs,
everything.
Basically.
But no, the fact it's basically sort of living like the adventurous lifestyle, isn't it? Like the adventurous dream, and
it's very like Fortune and Glory, kid. It's very kind of Temple of Doomish in that way.
Absolutely. But no, once he sort of starts to see the impact of what's going on and stuff, like they find, he goes, his adventure is to go find the Texas. But once they find out about the impact of this thing,
the red algae, isn't it?
The red algae, in the water. Like, his mission diverts, and it becomes about the other mission, the ecological mission. So, and by the end of it, I think he is not a different character, but there's definite growth, and it is kind of like a Raiders or an Indiana Jones arc, isn't it? Of kind of like, it's that Temple of Doom is probably a good example. Fortune and Glory to rescuing the kids and returning the Shankara stone. So it's,
I think, considering where it kind of, not his first entry, because his first entry is like shirtless, and then he saves Penelope Cruz's Eva, doesn't he, on the beach? But the second kind of re-entry when he comes out of the sea and he's on top of like the Egyptian statue, and it's like the soundtrack is some like rock, like he's an American man. It's a really cool like moment. But that is the kind of like, this is who Depp is here compared to the end of the movie, where it's like, as you said, he's doing things for the right reasons. He's doing it because people should be saved, not just either because he wants to bang her, but because he wants to stop the ecological disaster. He wants to rescue the villagers. Is it the Tuaregs?
The Tuaregs, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like it's like kind of Star Wars species, don't they? So his motivation has totally shifted throughout the movie, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's but he maintains that sort of twinkle in his eye, that sort of tongue in cheek, and that's where I think, like, listening to sort of the other films that he's done, and I think you sort of mentioned it, that this is known as his rom-com era, and this has got romance in it and a comedy, so it's not quite a rom-com, but like the one thing that watching this, like the dude just oozes charisma and charm. Every scene he's in, like he is the coolest guy on screen. Yeah, without
he's
doubt.
sun-kissed here, isn't he? He's like all buff, he's roguish, and absolutely. I think that's why I agree. Like, this is a total. I don't know Doc Savage very well, but this really is like, and by design, Indiana Jones, Doc Savage meets James Bond, isn't it? 100% by design. The speedboat chase we'll talk about is a real meeting of those two worlds.
Yeah,
but he has the total package to play that character. He has that Harrison Ford, that charisma that he had at that height of kind of Indiana Jones, where just men want to be him and women want him. I mean, I'm writing "Love You" on my eyelids as I'm watching this. Let alone.
The thing is that we're talking about this film, and this film is great fun. It has issues, which we'll talk about. I think it had multiple screenwriters, and that becomes evident in a number of places. But and I think Steve Zahn is a weak point of the film.
There's we've got to talk about that.
But I think the biggest problem for this film, the thing that really damages this film, is the fact it's a dirt pit adventure. Because I had a look. Like, this is that era in the those mid 2000s where adventure films were kind of trying to make a resurgence. We'd already had like Pirates of the Caribbean, so Pitt had made his name as a pirate. National Treasure, had been sort of a medium success the year before. The year after this is the Da Vinci Code. So there's films like this.
Even Summer's The Mummy. I know that was a bit earlier, but it has
99. But the sequels have come out. So the Mummy Returns is, I think, 2003.
It has some of that kind of feel to it as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think Zorro and the Mummy kind of started off in 99 and that era, and then so if you take this as if you took out the Dirk Pitt element and just said this is a film, like I think this film would have done much better. I think because it's a Dirk Pitt film, and he's not Dirk Pitt in the sense of like it's what it's called, but he's not the Dirk Pitt of the book. And I think there is that kind of like you have we're used to fan backlash, so there's that element of it.
Yeah.
And so I think it just sort of and I think because of that though, it never reaches there's a certain level in this film of it needs to remain family friendly. So, although it's very fun, it never really takes any risks.
That's true. Yeah.
And I think that kind of holds it back as well.
That's fascinating. And, Cussler didn't help either, did he?
No.
Like bad-mouthing the film before it came out. I imagine all, the pit heads, I don't know what they're called.
Doesn't matter. That's what they're now called.
I assume they didn't go to see it because he was very vocal, refusing to do any kind of press on his own book tour, like absolutely slagging this off, which is really interesting now for you and I in retrospect, having done the book and done the film. And I think we both agree, I think you agree, that the film is a better version of the story.
Oh, absolutely.
Much
better. Yeah.
There are problems. I agree. Pacing is terrible. I can't wait to get into the Steve Zahn stuff. I think that's going to be really interesting. I think you and I are slightly coming up from a slightly different position. I think I understand where you're coming from, but I think you're right. It's safe is a great word for it. It's not what I thought of before we started speaking, but it is, isn't it? It's very middle of the road.
And that's the biggest problem because the cast, everyone in this. I mean, I would say let's address the cast because it's the story of the story. I think everyone in this film is very well cast, apart from Steve Zahn. I think Matthew McConaughey in this is charming. Everybody socks off. This is like peak twinkle in his eye McConaughey.
And he really wanted this role. I don't know if you read some of the behind the scenes stuff. No. So he went after this hard. Like they'd offered it to or not offered, but they sort of made noise to Cruise, to Hugh Jackman, to Christian Bale, like, would you be interested? But McConaughey went after this. Like he wanted this role. He saw himself as Dirk Pitt.
He's an American hero. Like I can see why he would do this as a Texan and stuff. Like this is right up his street. And I think he just shines in this film. And it's a kind of, there's a part of me that's really sad that this didn't become a franchise because it's like, this is the kind of thing where you go, all right, here's where we failed first round, but you know what we can do? We can do this in the second one. Think of X-Men and
X-Men 2, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Good enough, but there's a lot of room to improve that. Yeah.
I think Penelope Cruz is great in this. She's one of those actresses that, I'm always pleased to see her because I think she's a great presence and I think she's got that right level of, she's not nowhere near a dampening the stress, but they haven't made a kind of aggressively, sort of having to sort of, I don't know if it was use the word girl boss, but like she's not. She becomes a part, like she becomes equal with everyone. Like it's not like she's, and so I think she's really good in this.
She puts herself in danger. She's the one who cares at the start of the movie. Actually, she's the driving force behind him wanting to resolve the issue with the poison water supply and stuff. So she is a little bit needs to be saved by the end, doesn't she? However, she's taking part once she is rescued. Yeah, in that big finale, she's taking part as the team, isn't she? She's got her own little missions within the bigger mission inside the Texas. Yeah,
she's part of the team.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of what sort of helps. I think is it Rainn Wilson?
Go for it.
Rainn Wilson is good as Rudy.
It's fine. Yeah,
he's fun. William H Macy is almost perfect as the Admiral Sandecker.
Yeah. The scene when he's on the phone with the speedboat when it's getting destroyed and nobody's listening. That is just like perfect William H Macy lines for his delivery style and
even the villains. Lambert Wilson and Lenny James. as Lambert Wilson as Eve Massad and Lenny James as General Zadib Kazim. And again, again, both of those are actors where you go like, oh, I like you. You've been in stuff I like. So good presence, good charisma. I think everyone in this is good.
And Lambert Wilson is like, oh, you're going to be the bad guy as soon as he's on the screen. Every time. It's one of those faces, isn't he? Oh, okay, you're a bad guy, yeah.
If you notice how this is the period when we, the British, sort of stopped being the villains and they were like, no, we shall now use the French as,
that's true,
as the go-to villain. And then there's Steve Zahn, who has an odd career because he's kind of always been the sidekick, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Has done some interesting films. I'm just looking at his sort of filmography, but then he's never done great films. And he's brought into this to be this comedy sidekick. And the problem with it is, in the book, I will use that as a reference, that Al Giordino is shortish, but like stocky and built and kind of sullen. And it's this kind of like, almost stereotypical kind of Italian American. Yeah,
which you can kind of guess from his name, right?
Yeah. And so he's kind of like where Pitt is almost like the optimist. Giordino is sort of like not so much the pessimist, but he's kind of a realist, but he's tough.
That is they're equals, really, aren't they? In terms of
absolutely,
the power dynamics between them as a pairing,
But you need to have a dynamic between them, and the problem is because McConaughey is playing this so charmingly, sort of whimsically and witty, and there's other stuff going, with all that. It's fine. The star should overshadow the sidekick, but it kind of feels like Steve Zahn's doing the same thing. And I'm like, you're not different enough to be like, you should almost be like the Odd Couple. There should be like a comedy pairing, like, Little and Large, Eric and Ernie, the two Ronnies. I'm going like old school British sketch show, but you're right, like Riggs and Murtaugh, or that's what you need in this. You need that kind of like push and pull. And it never feels like that. So he kind of just feels like an add-on the entire time.
That's interesting. It's not something I thought of, but I totally appreciate what you're saying. I think because I find him likable and funny.
Yeah.
They give him all the kind of, he's kind of a buffoon, really, isn't he?
Yes.
He's kind of a Jack Sparrow-y in that he kind of blunders his way, to come back to your point, Pat Scarrow, and kind of blunders his way in and out of things, which again is a bit of a feature of these kind of adventure movies as well, isn't it? That you improvise and you blunder your way out of stuff. But I hear you, that's not something I thought of. I mean, I certainly thought change the character name, because his kind of surfer dude vibe, blonde hair, the drool that he has, Al Giordino, but it's not quite working. But he's definitely not the character from the book, and I can see, like, I think probably fans of the book of Dirk Pitt probably like McConaughey and probably think, he did a good job.
Yeah.
Whereas I can see them being anti-Steve Zahn for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I went back and I haven't watched it, but I watched the trailer for National Treasure because I wanted to sort of have at least a reference point. And the dynamic between that I can expect is Nick Cage as Benjamin Gates. As it's Justin Bartha is that kind of
like a tech geek guy, isn't he?
Yeah, but kind of like, why have I got to do this? It's always about like, woe is me kind of jokes, but bumbles through and then gets the job done and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're kind of trying to do, but you're also telling me that these two guys have been friends forever. They're both Navy SEALs, and they've been doing all this other stuff. And kind of, I buy it of McConaughey.
Yeah,
I never buy it of Zahn. Like he just never feels like that character. And I think you're right. One of the problems with the multiple writers is. There's a scene that's in the trailer, and it's almost like parody level humor for like 1 second, and then I'm like, I don't know where this come from. Like they're stopped in the desert. They stop because they've seen that the Tuaregs are about to be ambushed, and so they get out the car, and Pitt says, "Hands up, drop your weapons" to Giordino and Eva Roas. So they do. He drops his AK-47, and then Giordino's like dropped his AK-47, and then he's got like 2 other guns, and then 2 other guns, and then another, and then he pulls up 2 guns and drops it. And I'm like, this is a sort of a Leslie Nielsen joke. It feels so out of place in this film, because then like Pitt turns around and looks at him, he's like, what? And I'm like, oh no, this is Lethal Weapon or like Naked Gun level humor. I'm kind of, it felt so out of place in this film. I don't know what your thoughts were, but that kind of threw me, and I was like, oh, that's what they've brought him in for. Yeah. But that's not what this film should have been. Yeah, it's interesting. Like you're winning me over a little bit. I think because they do spark, they do have good chemistry as actors, don't they? I think I was just sort of a bit more forgiving, but I can't disagree. I can't critique your critiques. I think everything you're saying is totally fair. But I think I was just bought in for the ride with those two. I think if they'd had no chemistry, it would have been even more glaringly obvious. Yeah. You're right. I do think their chemistry is fine. The speedboat stuff and some of the other bits work well and well enough. I think that's the thing with a lot of this. It works well enough. That's fair. Yeah. But if they had a sequel, I think some of the notes would be, okay, we're going to have to make Steve Zahn's Al a little more gruff. He's got to be, if McConaughey is the ladies' man, then Giordino needs to be the I don't know, a bit, make him bulk up a little, but he's got to be gruffer in that. Like, what's he bringing to it? It kind of feels like he's constantly being saved. He's there to be saved by Pitt, doesn't it? Yeah, a little bit. Pitt comes up with all the ideas and has all the skills. So, like, what is he bringing to the dynamic other than being his mate? I think you're right. It would needed to have gone somewhere for sure. Yeah. And he's quite, let's be both in the book, and it's worth noting in the book, Pitt and Giordino are darker characters. For sure, yeah. Like, there are some scenes, I think, like at one point, I think it might be Giordino, like locked, there's a gold mine that's not mentioned in the film. It doesn't form part of it. In the book, there's a gold mine where some people are taken to work to death, basically. And there's a death pit where they just put the bodies. And Giordino just basically kneecaps someone and then leaves him in there to die. And he tortures somebody, doesn't he, in the book as well? Yeah. I mean, he doesn't. He mentally tortures him, it turns out, in the end. But yeah, he takes somebody off for torture, and yeah. And it's a woman, by the way, as well. What he said and done, and so yeah, absolutely, yeah. They are darker characters, and I guess that leans into their kind of backstory of the Navy SEALs and perhaps what they've seen and done, and so therefore what they're willing to do. Yeah. On these, but you should kind of feel that if you're going to have Pitt be the lighter one, you should kind of feel some of that, danger from the other one, and that would be an interesting dynamic, wouldn't it? Like Pitt keeps pulling him back from the brink. Yeah, right. I like that idea. Like, Al keeps kind of tipping over, and Pitt is the guy through his sparkiness, through his lightness, diffuses the situation. And stuff. Yeah. But they are fine. But it just felt very family friendly, and I think that was kind of that is the objective, isn't it? It's very PG-13. It's very 4 quadrants. Yeah, and I think for me that's why the Lenny James character doesn't really work. He needs to feel threatening, and I don't think he ever does really. And I don't think that's really a fault of his performance. I think he's fine, although his accent is all over the shop. But that's true. I don't feel like he is a credible threat to our characters in the movie, but I think that's because they've watered down him as a character. Yeah, because again in the film, because again in the book, like Kazim is clearly a nutcase. Yeah, and he does feel like a legit threat. Like he's on the edge, paranoid, and rules this country with an iron fist. Yeah, and he's a proper dictator, isn't he? He's like, absolutely. And in the book, you see how he manages that and the consequences of sort of letting him down. He's not that in the. But again, this is a PG-13. Like, they're not going to be R adventure.
a bad guy that kind of sits around barking orders, and that's okay. Yeah.
But again, like we've watched, we're referencing Indiana Jones. There's ways and means of making people feel, dangerous.
Tote does in Raiders, doesn't he? And then
I was going to say, Tote and the priest in Temple.
I can't remember. Is it Baron something, or is that no? That's
I can't remember.
In That Die. But I know he mean the heart pulling guy in Temple of Doom. Yeah, for sure.
So there are ways of doing it. And so they kind of just sort of fall back on that a little bit, don't they?
Molaram
is his
Molaram.
name.
Thank you. Yes, good shout. Yeah.
So I think he sort of carries some kudos for me because I liked him as Morgan in The Walking Dead. You sort of see him, you see him and you go, "Oh yeah, I like you. You're cool." So I agree. I think he has a bit of that. But I think this is it. I constantly sort of feel this where I'm like, this is good, and I'm enjoying it. I never get bored.
I did a little bit towards the end, if I'm honest. I started to lose my
interesting.
Focus. Not bored, but I just sort of felt like, oh, okay, this could do with ending now. And having read the book, and I think I finished it Sunday morning or something, and I was pottering around doing my chores, and I was watching the film Sunday night. I sort of knowing what we still had to go, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
An hour and 40 would be kind of perfect for this movie, and it's just a little bit over 2. I think could have done with shaving off 20 minutes, really.
And that's fair, because again, I think it would make it a little bit more. Oh, well.
It's subplots for me. I don't think the subplots, the whole red algae thing, I think you need, because you need it for Eva's motivation. But I think you keep that localized in the movie. They try to bring in this idea of it's going to poison the water supply and it's going to deoxygenate all the water and it's going to fuck us over, which actually really quite ecologically
massive.
But in terms of like forward thinking from Cussler, to be fair to him, back in 91, we're facing this issue right now, right? In terms of the coral reefs going and all that kind of stuff. So you saw what was coming, to be fair to him. But I don't think you need it in this movie. You just need that the Malians their water supply is being poisoned. Keep it to that. You get Delroy Lindo coming in, essentially just for a post-credit stinger where we're killing off Mossad in kind of a fun way. But again, does that really fit in this movie? And is it fun? Like giving somebody poisoned water? Not really. It's not really kind of a jaunty, fun thing. In the book, again, that's done really well. It's like, whoa, this is dark.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So those little bits, I think you could cut out. You just don't need all of that, I think, and that would have helped to tighten it up a little bit.
It feels, if you were to watch, if this film was released today, and you saw characters like, Delroy Lindo, CIA agent, and things like that, you'd be like, oh, they're important for a future film, so they're being introduced here. That's how it feels, isn't it? Like, we need to know who they are now because they're going to be. It's like, we have to have a short scene with Felix Leiter because he's coming back in the next one, and we want to. He's like the Nick Fury
of the Dirt Pit universe for sure. Yeah.
So I sort of I agree with what you're saying. I understand that there is too many little bits. It could be, because I think if you were to pull away some of those stuff, rather than make it short, and you're right, you could make it shorter, but you could also make some of the action a little bit more dynamic, or take a few more risks.
Yeah.
I think I don't know what the plot is. This, and also this is a Breck Eisner film. Who I've seen his The Crazies,
which is good,
which is quite good. The Last Witch Hunter.
Which is not
good.
Yeah, that's kind of it, really.
Yeah,
but I didn't know until the behind the scenes stuff that I investigated that he is the son of the Disney exec Michael Eisner.
Oh, really?
So
bit of nepotism there.
Yes, he's a full-on nepo baby. So this guy, like, first directing gig, here's 160. I know it wasn't originally 160 million; it was 80, but still, here's an $80 million budget that will allow to balloon up to 160.
Yeah.
Thank you, Daddy, for sure.
Wow, I didn't know that. That kind of the thing is, knowing that this is 2005 or 2000, let's say 2004 shot, 2005, whatever. 160 million. Then I'm not entirely sure I'm watching all of that on the screen.
Definitely not. No. And there's a lot of So all the Clive Cussler producers backwards and forwards suing. I don't know if you read much about that as well. Like, went on for about 10 years supposedly, both like suing and counter suing, and then in the end none of them won. It was just all like, will you please just walk away? This is really boring. Like the
we're tired of this now. I'm done.
Exactly. Yeah, like we're just drawing a line under it. You cannot come back. You're not allowed anymore.
Yeah.
And all the budget was a massive like 100-page document or whatever, like provided for the courts, and that got leaked, which goes into all the kind of reasons behind how the production cost kind of ballooned, and the typical things, right? You know, issues filming on location, of course.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like a swarm of locusts came to set one day. Well, now we're fucked, and we've got to rebuild everything, and we can't film for it. So that kind of stuff, which you always get with these kind of movies when you take risks and you go out and film on location. But then lots of things, bribes for Moroccan officials to film, and all this kind of. There's a lot of shady stuff going on. I didn't realize this, but at the end of the movie, they don't have that classic kind of no animals were harmed in the making of this movie.
Really?
Because of the way that the camels weren't harmed, but to cajole them to run fast enough, they were treated in the way that they used to treat like racehorses and stuff, right? You have to
So they were whipping them
and stuff, so they weren't allowed to use that in the credits of the movie. So yeah, there's a bit of a dark underside to some of the stuff in the making of this movie as well.
That's interesting, because I mean, you know, I watched for Stories at Time and Space. We used to watch the second Transformers movie, Revenge of the Fallen. It's not good, not going to lie. But one of the things I'll always credit any Michael Bay film with is the story is mostly going to be twaddle and make no sense, but there are going to be scenes that are spectacular. And the end of that scene that he shoots in some fantasy version of Cairo outside the pyramids that you know doesn't exist in reality looks amazing. I mean, you know, again, it has a slight, as we've discussed before, like geography problem of where characters are and stuff, but the way that they set the practical explosions and the way that it's shot and everything is really, really impressive. And I'll always credit Bay with being able to present a good action scene, a good explosion, and make it feel like it's going to. That's the kind of thing you'd need in this. If you're going to shoot,
you're right. Yeah. If
you're going to shoot in the Sahara and you're going to do some of that stuff, then you need to be like, right, this has got to feel like tactile kind of big explosions and
there's no David Lean kind of wide stuff that you never really get the full expanse of what the Sahara Desert could be like. You're right, that's missing, and I completely agree. There's no like the speedboat chase is about as good as it gets, really. There's no jaw dropping. There's no really big and memorable action scene, and it does go quite James Bond in the third act in terms of like the fake solar powered factory, and there were opportunities there, I think, weren't there, to do some kind of big exciting stuff, and he doesn't quite have the chops, does he, Breck Eisner, to bring that to the screen, unfortunately.
No, and I think you're right. Actually, you said about the sort of cinematography. A lot of the sort of the fight scenes are sort of quite close in. And you say about that, they have a fight at the top of this massive tower. Pitt climbs up solar panels. I'm not sure how they work, but I'm guessing they'd be hot.
Yeah, sure.
Besides the point. And it's all very close quarters. He might as well be fighting on the floor. Like, you never sort of pull back to be like,
we need like a drone shot. I guess they didn't have drones then, but you need like a big helicopter or a crane shot of it, kind of. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, look,
the Michael Bay arc shot spinning around.
Absolutely, that'd be perfect.
Yeah,
because look, having a fight up here is dangerous. Like, it's a massive fall. And at one point they are trekking through the desert, and there are a couple of like, you know, helicopter shots, but again, it's not like, okay, that's down. And we're going, okay, that's not the right way to be shooting this. When you want to show this, you want to be shooting up, so you can show like the silhouettes against the horizon.
That's it. It does that a couple of times, doesn't it? It does. Does Al and Pitt on the camels with the kind of, it's that shot from Raiders of the Lost Ark, isn't it? When they're digging, looking for the Well of Souls. That's the shot. It does a couple of those that look really, really good against the sunset. But you're right, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
The rest is just a bunch of orange.
Yeah. Oh, the sepia tone on this film. Someone had their someone paid their license for a special effects toolbox, and
we're going to use it.
We're damn well going to use sepia tone on every single shot.
Yeah.
It's a very orangey brown film. And I'm sure it's one of those things that when you hear directors or cinematographers or whatever talking about these things, and they have like a justification, don't they? They'll say, we wanted it to feel, grimy or dirty or like the desert or everything. And you sort of go, I get what you're coming from, but that's not what reached the screen.
Yeah.
It kind of just looks brown, unfortunately. Like you haven't given it the depth or the textures, as well as adding the sepia tone to make that work. I always think about this when I watch Punisher Warzone.
Mm-hmm.
I forget her name now, but the director of that said something about the colours that she used. And there's lots of like weird pastel-y colours and that. She's like, well, I wanted to sort of like touch into the whole comic book thing. And I'm like, I'm not sure you're reading the same Punisher comics as me, but like pastels is not the colour scheme I associate with this. So yeah, it looks. There are times it's a little goofy looking.
It's a bit flat, isn't it?
Yeah,
direction-wise. Yeah. It's a shame because I think the first half of this is really zippy. It's really entertaining. I think, as you say, like the charisma between everybody's really good. You get all these little intros and crossovers, and I think all the way up to kind of the speedboat, and maybe a little bit past that when they kind of now go their separate ways again. I'm totally bought in for all of that. I think I'm really being pulled along by the story, and knowing we've got these kind of twin missions that are going to come back together again, and then it just all. Yeah, it all gets a bit rushed, and then all just gets a bit
bogged down in itself.
A bit safe, as you said before. Yeah, a bit bogged down. Yeah. We get like the capture, and then the escape, and then they find as you said, they're pulling along the kind of the bed of the truck, aren't they? And then they find to make the land sail thing, and then suddenly they're at the solar power, and all of that is all happening. It's about 20 minutes, but a lot is happening in that 20 minutes, and it's all just zips over really quickly. I actually would have quite liked an 18. I know I was wondering it was too long before, but
but you don't want it. You don't
a little montage 18 building that thing would have been kind of cool. But it's like, there's something we can do here, and then the next scene they're bloody driving off through the desert. So,
and even that's weighted on like a 15-second shot.
Yeah, it's done, isn't it? Completely.
And you go like, oh, okay, that's what you're going to get.
It feels like it should have been a big thing for them to overcome, and it's just done.
It's the thing is, again, I will keep harping on to the book because the book's obviously the source. It is a big deal in the book. They they escape the gold mine. They've been beaten up, and they are literally there's this whole thing about they have to walk at night because of the heat of the desert. So they're having to hide and bury themselves in the sand during the day. I mean, it's all ridiculous. I'm not exactly taking. I don't think Bear Grylls would be signing off on some of this stuff, but that's what they do. And they come across this downed plane, which just happens to be this lost female pilot from the 1920s or 30s, which we've had in the prologue this entire, I think, like a 15-page story.
At least,
like a short story of her crashing. And so you're like, oh, cool. All right. Well, as in the film, it didn't have to be anybody. Could have just been many planes tried to fly over the desert, and here's one we just happened to come across. But they also, like in the book, they find her body and her diary, and it's kind of like a big deal that they found this thing, and putting it together to make the sail thing is a bit of a mission. So it's kind of like a last-ditch effort. Yeah, in the film, it sort of just comes across as a bit of a lark. Yeah.
And the Flight of the Phoenix... Like that's There's a couple of versions of that, isn't there? Where like the plane crashes and they end up doing.
Dennis Quaid one from the early 2000s.
Isn't it? It's clearly inspired by that kind of idea, and they make a whole movie out of that. So this felt like a moment that there wasn't enough made of it, which is a shame. And again, I think this is the issue as you touched on a couple of times. 10 writers ultimately worked on this. That's a problem, right? At some point, that's been forgotten or that's gone, as you said, perhaps with the Steve Zahn moment. That was one writer's good idea, and then that's been kept, and really it shouldn't be. And because the Kitty Manic stuff was filmed again, famously, that cost $2 million to film this plane crashing. They were going to put it in at the start of the movie, and then they decided they didn't need it, and affected kind of the pacing of the opening, which I think was probably the right choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it does then affect this later part, because now they can't talk about who she is, and we can't delve into the kind of and these are these issues which have definitely come up by, like, these guys wrote this version and then they rewrote it, and Cussler put his awe in and said, I hate everything, and then rewrite it again. And because that was what the big sticking point was, that he was supposed to have the final okay on the script, and they basically got bored of him with every script that was handed in, saying, I don't like it, it's not good enough. So they just went and filmed it anyway.
It's almost it's the Roddenberry effect, isn't it?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Where, like, Star Wars sort of, starts as one thing. Star Trek starts as one thing, and Gene Roddenberry sort of sticks by his guns so strong that they're like, look, you're kind of making this boring because everyone has to get on because they've evolved past confrontation and da. You're like, we kind of need confrontation for a dramatic film. So I can see that. But again, I can see that Cussler, if you read Clive Cussler novels, if you look at the other, because Dirk Pitt isn't his only character, there are several other characters they've got. They are all very much of the same.
Right, I bet, yeah.
Cut from the same cloth. They're all those sort of adventure and sort of kind of novels, which tells me the kind of person that Cussler is. Now, he's obviously very successful with these books. He's written, dozens of them. Mm. So that kind of says that he has an interest in this kind of person and in this kind of adventure. And he's of a different age. I mean, Sahara was released in 92, and I think it's like the 11th.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
Dirk Pitt books. I think the first one came in the late 70s, like 78, something like that. So you're talking about an era, a completely different era, a very different kind of hero. This is kind of hairy chests and medallion kind of wearing adventuring sort that's a former Navy SEAL, and as you said, sort of like a Terry Sue kind of can do everything. And so when you go, well, you've actually got to apply some modern narrative techniques to this, and we've got to make this change. I can see he kind of takes it as criticism. No, this is what the Dirk. I mean, don't forget, this isn't Dirk Pitt's first appearance on screen.
No, yeah.
They had done a Raise the Titanic previously, which wasn't a huge success.
No, I haven't ever seen it, but as I understand it, that was a massive flop as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think, what sometimes works in books for these characters doesn't work on screen.
Yeah.
And you can write pulpy novels. I mean, if you like, I think the closest equivalent to this is Reacher, the Reacher books. I mean, ignore the Cruise films because they're in a kind of similar vein where they're like, oh, they're not terrible. They're all right for fun.
Yeah.
But they're not Jack Reacher. And then you have like Alan Richardson turn up, who is looks the part. Dude's kind of like 6 foot whatever, and built like Godzilla. But he's funny. Like, if you ever watch Alan Richardson, like the guy came up through like theatre, he's a theatre kid and all that sort of thing. Dude's funny, and he's like, and he adds a little bit of that into Reacher to make him almost a satire of this kind of character. If you watch the Reacher series, you can watch it. I recommend it. I really do, because I think it's a very well done. They call it like dad TV, right?
Yeah.
And you can watch it straight and go, this is a good, solid kind of mystery where there's some punchy, and he's kind of like, he's a bit of a Terry Sue, but like, you also get that there's a twinkle in the eye of the whole thing, where like even Alan Richardson's going like, you get that this is ridiculous, don't you? Understand that this is silly, and so they've added kind of like nods in and a bit of little bit of tongue in cheek that's not in the books.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. And that's definitely what McConaughey's bringing here as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I agree that you can go, oh no, the Reacher of the books is kind of is stoic and serious, and there's very little humour in those books, and they're quite good fun. I've read more Reacher books than I have Cussler books, and so I don't mind the Lee Child books, but they're very much in the same vein. But like for the TV show, they've gone like, you can't do that. It doesn't work. we need to sort of lighten this up or do something else with it. And so they found that sort of tone. And that's what this is. And I think that's why this works for me with McConaughey, is because exactly the same thing. Where they're going, you can't do that kind of dour but kind of charming, he's grumpy but also lovely and kind of like, chauvinistic yet, going to be supportive. Like, it's all kind of like, he's everything to anybody kind of thing. You have
Agreed,
to.
Yeah. He's very much more kind of the Connery Bond, isn't he?
Absolutely. Yes.
Whereas by the time we get into this era, we need a bit of we need Pierce Brosnan Bond, really, don't we? And that's kind of what McConaughey's bringing. He's got that glint. He's good looking and charming. He can be dangerous if he needs to be, but for sure, yeah. But I think you're right. Custer probably wanted it. That almost Cold War Connery.
Well, don't kid yourself though. Like, this is the thing about when we watch. This is like when you watch. People watched. Made the comparison between like 1966 Batman and 1989 Batman. They go, "Oh, this is the serious, dark Batman," and you watch it now and you go, "It's as camp as fuck." Like,
yeah.
Both are as camp as Christmas, and I love them both. That's wonderful. That's fine, but don't kid yourself. Like, go back and watch those Connery Bonds.
Of course, yeah.
So so I've gone back and watched the Bonds for the stuff I'm writing for, like the action book and stuff. So I've watched the Bonds. I've been reading about them. And they are, again, the similar thing to Cussler having his comments on Pitt had kind of issues. Like, he saw Bond and was like, "Oh, he looks the part." Like, I kind of get you've got to go for someone a bit more dashing than he considered. Like he like Niven and a few other people to play Bond. But he kind of went with it, and then he watched them and was kind of upset, and was like, "Oh, that's not the tone of the book," and especially like Goldfinger and beyond. Yeah, Fleming was less than pleased. The money kept rolling in, so he kept. But this is the funny thing. Like, everyone knows Bond as the Bond films. Like Roger Moore is nowhere near the book Bonds, and if anything, I think Dalton's probably been the closest. In reality, but we know what Bond is because of the films. So when you go back and read the books, and you're like, "Oh, the books are kind of slow and a little boring," to be honest.
I've actually never read a Fleming Bond novel. Yeah,
I've tried 3 of them. I've never finished one.
Oh, really? Okay.
You come up at a certain age and you have certain expectations, having watched the films, and you just go, "Oh yeah, no." I think I'd rather watch the films. They're just they're more my pace. And I think that's the problem with this is you have an author who has a concept in his head, who's been writing this for over 2 decades at this point, has an image in his head of what this character looks like, what these films look like as he's written them. And he's very, very much kind of like wants to see that on screen.
Yeah, it's very set in his ways in terms of...
Absolutely. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's not what is popular at the time, or is going to work, or is what the studio wants. And so this is the thing about adaptations, isn't it? You either sort of do it yourself and you go, "This is the novel," and it goes on screen, or "This is the character," or you allow
Stephen King's done, right? And for better or worse, or we have seen authors try this, haven't we? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And to be fair to Stephen King will promote any film that's made of his work for any reason. Like, so, bless him.
And I do find the whole Custer thing a little bit. They Race of Titanic flopped, and he was like, "Right, forget it. You're never going to have my rights to my books." Then I didn't like what he did with the film; it did terrible. And then somebody offered him $10 million, and he went, "Oh, okay then." So whether he was like having a bit of a rough time or a divorce, or you hear all these reasons behind why people often take the money, but 10 million is not to be sniffed at.
Not in 2005 as well. Like, this is 20
Let
years
them adapt
ago.
it. Just you've made this choice now. Like, just to kind of live with it. I'm afraid. I agree.
Yeah. I think the thing is, sometimes adaptation is an interesting thing. I mean, we've gone through. You and I have sort of grown up in an era of adaptation of comic books, this kind of thing of, your comic is, you'll hear like that, this is not my hashtag, whatever, not my Captain America, not my, Doctor Strange, whatever. You go, yeah, but it's the one you got, and is it good? Is it good enough? Did you enjoy it? It's not going to be exactly what you expect, and it can be good or it can be bad sometimes. I mean, I think recently I went to the live action How to Train Your Dragon. I mean, I know you harkening back to your Reign of Fire discussion about Gerard Butler playing Stoic the Vast.
Yeah.
He's good in that. I think he's great in it, actually.
Paid twice to do the same job. I mean, what a result!
Absolutely. But I like him as it. But there is an adaptation that looked at the source material, looked at the book, and said, "Well, the book's kind of fun as a book for kids, but it's not a film. Let's turn this into a merchandisable film." And I think the 3 How to Train Your Dragon animated films are probably one of my favourite animated trilogies. I think they're brilliant. Yeah. And it shows that even, I think, what's her name? Even the writer of the book has come out and said, like, no, they're fantastic. Like,
Cressida Conway, or I
saw her once at a Hay Festival a couple of years ago, and she was all out. She was like, "No, the books are great. Read the books." But I'm not saying, but definitely go see the films. They're amazing. Like she's, so I think you have to accept it's a different medium in an adaptation. I think that's. I mean,
by definition, the word adaptation doesn't mean it's not translation, is it? Do you know what I mean? Like that's not what they're called. They're called adaptations. So except there's going to be some changes. That's what that word means.
Yeah, and it has to be because again, like you can do things in books or comics and stuff that you can't do. In film. Not that you can't do it, because you can, but it's whether it works as a, pacing or, tonally or whatever.
I mean, budgetary for a very long time. Do you know what I mean? Like, you weren't able to make these things happen on screen. I guess we kind of can now, but for a long time you couldn't, for sure. Yeah, I
mean, we're saying, I'd say this is a case of the film being better than the book.
Yeah.
In this case. But I'd say Jaws is definitely better than the book. Jurassic Park, better than the book. I'm just lording on Steven Spielberg now, but
Children of Men is the example I always go to. Children of Men is
absolutely
much better film than book. I mean, Fight Club, I would probably argue, actually.
Yeah.
And Palahniuk agrees the ending of the film is better than the ending of his original book, so he's quite happy to put his hand up because his comic book continuations carry on from the film.
Yes,
not from his book, which is really interesting. So, there are examples out there for sure.
Yeah. So I think if you are, as an author, kind of holding on to that vision that you've got, then I can see why it's difficult to let go of something that you've held on to for so long.
Yes, I mean, that's fair. You are a published author, and I one day hope to be. And it's all well and good for us to sit here and say it, isn't it? Of course.
Yeah.
Until it's our baby, until it's the thing that we have created and toiled for years to get published. And then, amazing if it got bought and then adapted and produced. And then how do you feel? That point is the only point you can really, truly understand this position.
Absolutely. Yeah. But $10 million would probably help ease some of that, to be perfectly
for sure. Yeah.
But I just other than that, things. How well did this do at the cinema? How well did this do, sort of budgetary? I mean, obviously the budget ballooned.
Yeah, so it made 119 worldwide by the end. So
119.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah. So you do that whole. If you take the whole marketing, half the budget into account. I'm not sure how true that always is, but we're looking at a 200 million plus movie. So it's considered a substantial box office flop, this one.
That's kind of surprising. I'm just looking at what it was up against.
In 2005,
2005. I mean, Batman Begins.
Yeah. So maybe again we're moving away, aren't we, from this kind of. Yeah. You said, it was interesting that when you did that timeline of those kind of like adventure movies coming back, National Treasure maybe being that kind of last in that line, we're kind of moving away again, aren't we, towards the comic book era, the darker action movie. We've had the Bournes by this point, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, the other thing this year is Sin City, which obviously did gangbusters. Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Yeah.
Looking at some of the sort of the big Revenge of the Sith.
Right, of course. Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously they would have been staggered throughout the year, but it's not a small year.
Yeah.
Triple X3, State of the Union. There you go, another big the sequel that even Vin Diesel didn't come back for. Talking about adaptations that pissed off the author, V for Vendetta came out this year as well. I mean, it's an interesting year. I mean,
a little bit off trend, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of, the adventure film never kind of made it though, did it? It kind of, there was that comeback. I think The Mummy, as you said, and Zorro in '99 kind of kicked it off. And I think both of those, it was more of like a period adventure film. That was the thing. You said like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Good point.
It was more that kind of, that was what was the sort of that's doing well. So actually, Sahara is a bit of an outlier, but it should hit those quadrants, as we've said. But again, like other films that came out in 2005 that didn't do hugely well, that kind of probably worth looking at some of the point. The Island with Hugh McGregor and
talking to Michael Bay, ScarJo,
the one we mentioned off air, The Dukes of Hazzard, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
right? Yeah,
which I actually really love that film.
Yeah,
I think that's really good.
Underrated. Yeah, but it didn't do well at all, did it?
No. So there's Constantine.
Another underrated movie that didn't do well.
Yeah. So it's weird how like 2005 actually got quite a few films that you would have thought any other day you go, oh, actually that should have made not all the money, but like made a good wedge somewhere. But yeah, I don't know, it just didn't seem to land well with audiences, and Batman Begins kind of reignites the sort of the superhero.
That serious superhero, right? That really did kick that off, didn't it? Like, we're going to take this seriously now.
Yeah.
Because I always think of Iron Man as being Iron Man Begins. If I'm honest, it's got exactly the same plot structure. That movie. It's just Robert Downey Jr. tells jokes, which Christian Bale does not.
In anything ever. I mean, yeah. Oh, imagine his best man speeches must be.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah.
Must be really intense.
Listen, don't interrupt him for sure. Don't walk across his eye line. You'll be in big trouble.
Yeah, no, don't mess.
Whereas McConaughey would give a really good best man speech, I imagine.
Oh, he'd be a great best man. Like I can imagine,
how charming. I mean, he'd overshadow you. That'd be the only problem. But the speech, he'd put a lot of effort into.
To be fair, like 2005 Matthew McConaughey, if he walked off my wife, I wouldn't be hugely disappointed. I'd be like, well...
should have seen it coming.
It was a mistake to invite him. I really should have thought that one through. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird because I can't see why this didn't do better. And it just sort of feels odd that it didn't do. I remember seeing this in the cinema. So yeah, it feels an odd one because I say it there's more of a more serious trend for action films, but still the adventure film is there.
But I think maybe we've touched on it, and to bring it back to McConaughey as we're sort of there as well. Perhaps this isn't what people want to see from him. This is what he wanted to do, but this is now too into his rom-com era, and he is trying these other things. He's trying Reign of Fire. He's trying this, but they're not landing. Whereas the rom-coms are the things that are bringing in the money for him. So. I guess, although he is charming in this, he does take his top off a lot.
Well, exactly. This should have been
not the audience for this, is it? That those rom-com fans are not going to go and watch Sahara.
They should have done, really.
Agreed.
I mean, this is Beefcake Central. Like,
yeah. No,
you're right.
And he has given it his all. We've discussed it. He's doing quite a lot of his own stunts in this. He did most of the speedboat stuff. He did that. He got injured doing that tower fight. He had to wear like a back brace. So there's. He really is all in. He wanted this to be, I guess, his franchise character. He was hoping this would turn into kind of a regular gig for him where he could take some ownership of this as a character. He got an executive producer credit for this.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
So
that always tells you how invested they are if they're trying to be responsible for getting the money and stuff as well. So
yeah, and I think some of the angles this takes are really interesting. The book, I thought, I know it's dated, but Nigeria and Mali are not very nicely depicted in the book at all. Whereas here, they take great pains to show, kind of the culture of these two countries actually is great. Like when they pull into, not port, I don't know what you call it, when they pull in the speedboat, it's all friendly, it's all lovely people, it's all waves and golden hues. And I think this film does a good job of that as well, of trying to kind of show that these countries are nice places to go, just not if you've got a despot dictator.
Well, I think that's the thing. It shows it's not the people, it's the government.
100%, yeah.
That's what this film definitely highlights. And even, when they say it's like a civil war with the Tuaregs and stuff, it's very much sort of like, no, I'm not at war with those people. I'm at war with Kazim and the regime that he represents. Very
much like, who's that group that's in Last Crusade? They kind of, once it's clear that they're not the sickle people, or the people who've got their tattoos.
Yeah,
very much similar to that as well, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, they're not the bad guys. No, they're just protecting the
Grail.
The Grail. Thank you. Yeah,
Legend of the Grail. Yeah.
No. So yes, he was saying that like this whole thing it represents. I mean, the eco message as well, even in 2005. It's trying to sort of get a message across, and it represents WHO, World Health Organization, has been kind of badass, really.
That's true. Yeah. We'll go into this war-torn place. We'll put ourselves at risk. These people are basically turning into, well, in the book, they're cannibalistic, aren't they? But these people are kind of turning into zombies almost, they seem in the movie, to be honest. But they're going in just with, a face mask and some rubber gloves. Let's go. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. It is. I think, we said the pacing of this is a problem. But there's lots of films that did really well where the pacing's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a weird. I mean, I didn't expect this to be $1 billion. This is not $1 billion film, but 119 worldwide feels really kind of.
It's a make money film.
Yeah,
really, isn't it? It should be a film that you would imagine would recoup its budget and a bit more. So, like, okay, well, it's worth it. It's a shame we didn't get any more, so that's why we're not going to do a sequel. There's not the clamour, but for it to be this big of a flop is a big surprise. Yeah.
I mean, remind me, you've obviously gone through the trenches with him at this point, but like, is McConaughey, is he now a headliner? Is he kind of like reached that kind of A-list where he's like, oh, you can put his name on a poster in 2005?
Interesting. Probably, but not to the point where they're still making massive money. I mean, How to Use a Guy in 10 Days, him and Kate Hudson have got equal billing. I mean, he got Rain of Fire made essentially by agreeing to be in it, but then that didn't make any money. So, I mean, J-Lo took top billing in Wedding Planner. So, kind of, but his films aren't, when he is the headliner, when he's the key man, he's not really bringing in the box office.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, that's the thing, like, because there's few people that you can say are headliner, kind of, you can put their name on a poster and it'll do stuff.
Yeah, it's like bonafide, Your Cruises, your Dwayne Johnsons, yeah.
Well, it's even Dwayne Johnson's faded to this point, but he had his time. But Tom Cruise can still do it. Jason Statham's name on a film just tells you what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And there's a couple, even like Tom Hanks, you can sort of say, oh, it's a Tom Hanks film. And you go, oh, cool. I expect a certain thing from it. It's not going to be $1 billion film. But I don't know. I wondered if McConaughey had ever been that kind of.
Because even as we go on, I haven't got there, but something like Failure to Launch, which is his next rom-com, well, that's with Sarah Jessica Parker, and she's a big deal because of Sex and the City. So I think when they're successful, it's the pairing up that he's got, or that until, of course, the true reconnaissance period, when that kicks off, then 100%. Once we get your Interstellars and your kind of post that period, then he is the name that's drawing you in once he's got his Oscar. But yeah, I think you're right. At this point, not really. He's a name that gets a film made, but he's not a name that guarantees box office.
Yeah. I mean, this could have been that film. This could have been.
He clearly wanted it to be, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just looking at, like, who else? I mean, I don't know.
Like, who's the big draw in 2005?
Yeah. I don't think there are. I mean, Tom Cruise is still doing Tom Cruise.
Essentially, those names that, were mentioned for this. Hugh Jackman because of the X-Men franchise, and Christian Bale, but he's off being Batman, and they're probably
Bale would have been terrible for this.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman probably could have done it. I think that'd have been interesting. But obviously, I've watched Van Helsing, so I've seen
him
do the similar, his fantasy adventure thing. That's an underrated film. It's not great, but I kind of like that film as well.
This is maybe a Ryan Reynolds vehicle now. If this is made now.
That's the kind of thing I'm.
Somebody like him anyway, for sure.
Yeah, possibly in that sort of vein. What's his name? Star-Lord. Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt would be a sort of equivalent now. Yeah. I could see him doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like
Yeah, it's a shame. I think for McConaughey, really, because I think, with his investment, the executive producer credit, he doesn't write about this really in Greenlights, but just before this, there is that weird kind of confluence of events where he took himself off on another one of his kind of wanderings. He went off for 22 days into Africa, up the Niger River, into Mali. So it's very, very odd that the kind of this comes, a year, maybe 6 months after. Almost that kind of prophetic. There's a really interesting part of the book where he talks about he's in this village, and the kind of he's not said who he is. I think he goes by David, and he's a writer and a boxer. So they're like, "Oh, you're a boxer? Well, here's our local wrestling champion," and he gets put into a situation where they have to compete. And he as he tells it, he holds his own. Of course, the great white man going against the African village. I'm sure he's exaggerating slightly, but I guess he's doing it on purpose. But I think, what is it he writes? He calls it like the big dark pit. We're forced to fight in the big dirt pit, is what he writes, and it's really interesting. There's this right lead up to now Sahara's happening, but he had this little window before that felt like I'm moving towards this character. In my own life, and he is this kind of adventurer in his own life. He does these kind of trips. I think we've spoken about one before when he did something similar in South America, and he used to love driving around and living in his Airstream trailer, just drive around America. He did it for this, supposedly. He went on a months-long tour, just driving around with his dog, living in his Airstream trailer, pulling up and talking to people. He is basically Dirk Pitt.
Yeah.
It's not a treasure hunter, a box office hunter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's a box office hunter. He's just not very good at finding it. I think that's the problem.
Sadly, at this point, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He definitely feels like he's guided by the universe, doesn't it? There's certain things that he's attuned to certain things. I mean, I don't know if he's ever, I don't want to spoil anything for future films, but are there films, or does he have a way of choosing a script where he's like, oh, this one speaks to me, or right, I need to pay these bills, or are those, or is it kind of case by case? Because I can imagine him having that kind of sense of this speaks to me. This is that kind of thing.
It's much more that than there being a bigger plan. It's much more kind of this feels right for the now. This is who I am in this moment. This is the chance I want to take. This is for sure. It's that kind of what I'm in touch with at the moment, so I will do this part. There seems very little kind of the money's good, so I'll do it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a couple coming up where clearly the money's good, so I'm going to do it. But generally speaking, he seems to be, and we know he took that decision of stepping back for 2 years and refusing a lot of stuff, supposedly refusing a lot of money in order
resetting himself in his career.
Yeah. He doesn't spend a lot of time, if I'm honest, talking about that part of his process.
Yeah.
That's the sense I get from what he does talk about, which is, where am I in my life? Where does this fit in? And how does it relate to who I am right now, for sure?
Yeah. It fascinates me because it is that kind of, you said he went after this, he's got that executive producer credit. Like, it's clearly important. At the time, it was clearly important to him.
Yeah.
And for it not then to be in Green Lights much is,
it's probably quite telling. Yeah. He skims over tiptoes, understandably.
Yeah.
Whereas here, I think probably if this had been a big success, there would have been a whole chapter dedicated to this, and then the ensuing franchise in there. But I think this is probably a bit of a sore point for him.
I wonder. I also wonder how much is still under NDA, where he's like,
"Well, good point." Yeah,
I'm not sure how much I could say that could be interpreted in certain ways or something.
But he is very vocal about the kind of anti-rom-com stuff, isn't he? He's like, that was the dark period of my career. Well, if this had taken off, he wouldn't have done any more of those, probably. So I think those two things go hand in hand, really, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think if this had been a success, I think you would see a very different next couple of years. You sort of see that resurgence of the Indiana Jonesing, dirt pitting kind of adventures. And you'd have probably seen other films or other characters taking off. And I'm pretty sure Cussler would have shut his face then at that point.
Well, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And been like, oh, what, 15 million? Oh, all right, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And what kind of, I think it wouldn't have stopped the inevitable nature that the industry went, but what superhero movie would he be offered? I mean, has he been offered one? I don't actually know, but who would he have got offered, and what would he have been interested in taking? And would he have become that kind of guy? Yeah,
I can imagine that McConaughey has been approached at some point.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Yeah, something
in the Marvel or DC kind of film. Yeah, no, I don't know what it would be, but it's probably been floated at some point of. I mean, his Doctor Strange would have been interesting. I don't know.
Texan, sure. Yeah, well.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's interesting how sort of actors like him, just. I think we know everyone thinks of like as Johnny Depp or like Keanu Reeves, and goes, oh, at the moment you go, oh, I know they're megastars, or like I'll use those two because I think they're around this time, similar things. But they're both in that sort of similar boat. They didn't become massive until they found the franchise.
Yeah,
I mean, Keanu Reeves had done stuff.
Yeah.
And
Speed was a big deal. They made a lot of money. Point Break was, but yeah, he wasn't like probably sort of bankable until Matrix, really, right?
That's it. Yeah, I'm saying that's what I mean. Like the 90s, like after those two, after Speed, and like he starts to choose, much like McConaughey does. He sort of goes, "No, I fancy doing this. I want to do my
Johnny Mnemonic. I'll do
my own Private Idaho or whatever he's going to do."
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Why does he keep choosing these really shit films? I don't understand it." And then he only got The Matrix because Will Smith didn't understand it and wanted to do Wild Wild West. And that's what kind of made him bankable. But even then, like The Matrix happens,
and
it's not like
he goes away again.
It goes away again. I mean, they're
John
not.
Wick. Yeah.
And then until you get sort of John Wick and again a second sort of franchise boost. Like he tried it with Constantine, but the same with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is Jack Sparrow, explodes, gets given Charlie the Chocolate Factory off the back of it, and a couple other things. But actually, can you name any of the other films that he's actually released outside of Pirates in the last 15 years?
Yeah, other than the Harry Potter prequel you was in, no, probably not.
Yeah.
Mordecai? Yeah. I don't know why that sticks in my head, but yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, not really.
But that's the thing is that
I've never seen that movie either.
No,
I don't know why that jumped in.
Well, but that comes into that thing of being a caricature, isn't it? A character actor kind of thing.
Yeah.
Enemy of the States, who did the gangster film where he was John Dillinger and
with Michael Mann. Yeah, Public Enemies.
Public Enemies, thank you.
Yeah.
again, like, so there's everyone sort of thinks that, like, oh, they're massive, they're huge. Well, all right, name, other than their big films, like, name 5 of the films that you've watched that they've done. There are very, I think that we sort of, I think I've been quite mean, or not mean, but like harsh on McConaughey, going like, oh, he should have had a bigger career. I think he should have had a bigger career before he did. But it definitely feels like that period of the late 90s into the early 2000s, like, there wasn't superstars, there wasn't name stars. It was like, oh, you had to make it as a character. The character was the star, really, rather than...
That's interesting, yeah.
Or the franchise was the star rather than the... it's not Keanu Reeves, The Matrix.
Yeah.
Or, it's the Wachowskis, The Matrix.
Yeah. It's Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean.
And Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, yeah. And even Gore Verbinski, who's obviously directed the first 3.
Yeah.
Like, it's a vision of a thing rather than, Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like, I don't think McConaughey isn't there as a... I don't know, he's a good actor, but I don't think he's enough a character actor to do a Jack Sparrow or something like that. But
certainly not at this point. I think, he's going to find himself where he starts, if give it another decade, he's getting lost in the characters, I think. But at this point, either he's not ready as an actor or the roles weren't available to him, or a combination of both, probably. And he needs that reset to really find himself as that person, I think.
No, I think this is the era of franchise sort of starters. I mean, look, Matt Damon, another one. You go, oh yeah, no, I love Matt Damon. Matt Damon's amazing. I love the old Jason Bourne series. Cool. Have you watched Great Wall? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Did you watch Green Zone? Oh no, I didn't see Green Zone. Okay. Right. Have you watched any Matt Damon films other than the Jason Bourne films? Oh no, I don't think I have. You go, okay, well, it's not Matt Damon that you like then.
It's Jason Bourne. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another. There's another adaptation that got stripped down heavily. And that Ludlum book is almost unreadable. Yeah,
I did read those off the back of that.
You're better than me. I read the first one and was like, cool, I'm done with that. That's
hard work.
Yeah. So, I'd say that Sahara is a good film, and I think it's a shame that this didn't get greater attention. It's a fun adventure film. It should have taken bigger risks.
Yeah,
I can't believe it cost 160 million.
It's not on the screen, is it?
It's not on the screen, unfortunately. It's all in the back of some corrupt politicians.
Because even the text is pretty underwhelming. When they find it at the end, it's just a bit of metal in a dune.
It really feels like they wanted to do more, and they're like, "Oh, we can only build like a third of a set, and then we've got to stick it in the side of a sand dune."
Yeah.
Because the inside feels bigger.
It's true, actually. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And I think it when I watched it, I was like, there was supposed to be more of this on display, because where all the bullets are going are under sand outside. So yeah, that felt a little bit like something they couldn't deliver on, unfortunately. But that seems quite good. Again, like, taking out a helicopter with a cannon of that. So it's got some really good fun moments in this.
Leaning back into the pulpness there, isn't it? For sure, yeah.
Absolutely.
What have we got to hand? Well, we're going to have to try and fire this old cannon. Eva, we need you to go and find the wicks down below, and we're doing this. Yeah, that starts bringing that kind of adventurous, pulpy sense back. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, even the fight on top of the solar panel thing with Dirk climbing up the solar panels as they move to get up and fight the guy in the top. Like, it's not the most well shot fight, but it's a great concept of him just sort of getting up and charging at the guy and them having this sort of fight up there. And then we've got to get out because they're going to blow it up. Sort of shades of Quantum of Solace about it that comes later.
That's true. So. Yeah. Or a bit GoldenEye with Sean Bean and Pierce Brosnan fighting on that big satellite dish. Yeah.
So no, it's
So what it does, like we mentioned, we didn't go into too much detail. Like the speedboat chase, that's very Indiana Jones. That's kind of Raiders truck fight, isn't it? Because Pitt falls onto the other speedboat, and it's like, oh, where's he gone? And that stuff is very Indiana Jonesy, but the score there by Clint Mansell is very James Bond.
Oh,
I'm surprised
absolutely.
he never got invited to do a James Bond soundtrack. Actually,
This was his audition, I think.
for sure. Yeah.
No, but that scene's great. Like you say, when Pitt gets thrown onto the boat and then jumps back, and he's like holding on, and they're sort of getting shot at, and then they do a what do they call it?
It's basically a Crazy Ivan, isn't it? From Serenity, but yeah. Spin around, drive at them, and then blow their boat up, don't they?
Yeah. So but there's little things like one of the enemy boats. You hear that there's a speedboat chasing them, and as they sort of turn away, like this other one sort of carries on going. And you hear the driver, like it's almost like a Wilhelm scream. Ah!
Yeah.
But all the boat does is hit the beach and carry on going for like 15 feet. And you're like, it's not the worst thing to have happened. Like it doesn't blow up. Again, like I feel like someone's gone that should have exploded. That's supposed to have. It didn't explode, but we haven't got the money to go back and do it again. So it stays as is. But no, the speedboat chase is very good. I like them jumping on the train off the camels. I mean, it's not not great to know that they were the camels were poorly treated, but them jumping onto the train and sort of having to hoof Eva up onto the roof and stuff is good stuff. And
that's a very classic kind of this setting, this adventurous, this kind of absolutely. Like you said, this could be in Zorro, this could be in Indiana Jones, this kind of exact scene with the guard just about to come around the corner and see them climbing up the top, or
the terrible guard who sort of like sees three camels and then looks around and they're all gone. It's just like, all right, no, all that's good. I mean, all this stuff is good. It's just that thing of like, it's good enough.
Yeah, it just never quite achieves great. Yeah,
I've seen it before. The thing is, throughout this podcast, we've been able to reference other films where I'm going like, oh yeah, I'm climbing up on the train. That's Last Crusade or Zorro or whatever. Them doing this. Oh, I've seen that in this. Or it's all these things that you go, they've been done elsewhere. There's nothing new in this.
That's true. Yeah,
but that's not a bad thing if you do it well. Mm-hmm. You can be safe and do it really well and still be good. Unfortunately, I think this is one where it's cliched and done okay.
Yeah.
But not enough for me to go, oh, this is now the reference, where I'll be watching Zorro and go, oh, that's just like in Sahara where they jump up on the train. Like that, it will always be the one that references the others rather than the one that gets referenced.
Yeah, I like that. That's a nice way to finish off thinking about it for sure. Yeah. A couple of letterbox.
Yeah, go on
then. Jurassic Parkour, great name, says, what's your comfort genre? Mine is Matthew McConaughey treasure hunting movies.
It's a very small genre, but
it's very small, but there is one more to go. Fool's Gold we've got coming up, so there will be that one as well. Which I do, I don't really like the term guilty pleasure, because I think you should just like what you like. But Fool's Gold is a bad movie, but I do kind of like it.
Yeah.
Shannon Hubel says, the story feels like the results of a high-speed collision between two drafts, but I enjoyed the hell out of this. The plot holes are papered over by charm, and most of that is attributable to the chemistry between McConaughey and Zahn. Nice bit of rhyming there. I don't know if they meant that. The basic premise of white people saving the day in Africa is problematic, but I'm willing to give a goofy adventure film a pass on that. Too bad it was such a financial disaster, because would have liked some more extremely loose adaptations of shitty Clive Cussler novels.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I like the fact that they think it's a clash of two drafts. I'm thinking this was like 4 or 5, 7 drafts put in a blender and then put back together. Yeah.
Yeah. One more if you don't mind. Rob Hill.
Yeah.
I won't read all of this because it's quite long, but as someone who took more than a fair amount of joy from this book series over the years, this movie is definitely bittersweet. I thought we should have a book positive review. McConaughey is a decent Dirk Pitt, not top few draft picks. Okay, so not from the top few draft picks, but I understand the movie wouldn't have been made without his efforts. Cheers to him. It's hard to imagine a much better Eva Rojas than Penelope Cruz. Zero complaint. Yeah. Also, I'm not sure she's ever looked more beautiful, just breathtaking. Because Salma Hayek was Cussler's choice, wasn't it? But something about Penelope Cruz being Spanish, not Mexican, meant they could get some tax breaks.
Okay.
So it would have been 20 million more expensive if they cast Sam.
Wow.
William H. Macy is a perfect Colonel Sandecker Bravo. And then, here's the turn. How is it possible to hire Steve Zahn as Al Giordino? All caps.
Yeah.
Who can we get to play a short but muscular and shredded Italian American? Great news. We have this scrawny kid who licks every ounce of his Swedish and German heritage. And we'll have him play it dumb. He's the second most important person in the series. What a colossal fuck up. Rant over. Everything about this is pretty mid. The action scenes aren't terrible. It's pretty ridiculous, but that's to be expected because Pitt plots are ridiculous. So have some fun. I don't hate it. Not a ringing endorsement.
I like that. I don't hate it after ranting about it for the first 2 paragraphs. Yeah. It's a fair assessment, though. Yeah.
I think it is, yeah. And interesting. I thought, I lean on the McConaughey reviews, obviously, but this does touch upon him. But interesting to hear one from a book fan because I sort of knew you and I were coming into this as a film over book. So I thought we needed some balance there as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think, again, for someone to say as a fan of the book series, I think at that point you're kind of saying it all. If you're having to start with that, then you kind of know where it's going to go. Yeah, it also tells me a lot about the person and their reading ability, but that's just me being judgmental. I'm sorry. I think I'm more with the first person and their judgments on Clive Cussler books. Yeah, not for me. Not for me.
Some heavy editing is needed, just not by 10 different people.
Yes.
So for our man McConaughey, in terms of his filmography, classic, worth catching, or completist only? What do you think?
Absolutely worth catching. This doesn't define his career anyway. It's not like a major milestone or a sort of a stepping stone to anything. But it's a McConaughey film that you could. I'll be keeping this. I've got this on DVD now, and I'll be keeping a copy because I think it is one I'll probably go a couple of years ago. Oh yeah, no, that's quite good fun. I can sit back and watch that, and while I'm doing some of the bits and pieces, I'll have that on in the background or whatever. So definitely worth catching. Yeah.
And so we've dovetailed that quite nicely. We bookended it, and at least we've come up from your last appearance here from large to life. The only way is up. So hopefully, we'll keep that trajectory going. And the next time you're on, maybe we'll find a completist for you.
Talk about guilty pleasures, we'll see. But I seem to be sticking with the going forward. I'm sticking with the book adaptations.
Well, that is true. Yeah,
and at least in the next one, the author of the book had ringing endorsements.
Yes.
But he also gave ringing endorsements to Pet Sematary too. So, I think I take often what Stephen King says with a pinch of salt when it comes to him promoting films.
Yeah, you might be coming at that from the book first, film second angle, right?
I think so, very much so. But we'll get to. I won't spoil that now.
Quite.
Yes. No, this has been an interesting, fun watch. I would say that I do want to. I'm still confused, and why this isn't on any streaming service.
Yeah.
Distributed by Paramount. It's a reasonable. It's considering some of the other stuff that's on Paramount Plus. The fact this isn't there is odd.
Yeah.
So track it down. I bought it on DVD for less than £2, and I bet you can find this in. Do you want go to hunting in a charity shop? I bet you can find it.
CX for sure. You're going to find this in one of those two places without a doubt.
Let's make it a thing, though. Let's make it a thing, all right? 28 days. DVDs of 28 days later shot up in value when it was found that it couldn't be found anywhere. Copies of Sahara can't be found anywhere. You can only watch it in physical media, right? So if anyone needs to see, I've actually got 2.
I was going to say, somebody's looking to hawk their second disc.
Yeah, that's it. I'm going to make money off this somehow. Someone needs to make money off this film.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, no.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you so much. Did you want to put anything out there in terms of your show, what you've got going on? I know you've had some lovely Superman coverage and the build-up.
Yes, we've got a couple of things going on. So, just in the lead up to the new Superman film. I don't know when this is coming out, so we'll probably have done up to Superman, but we've done all the Superman films. All the Christopher Reeves. We did the Man of Superman, the documentary. We did All-Star Superman, and then we did the Snyder trilogy. Which was I've watched the full Zack Snyder's Justice League, and Superman. So go check that out. And we're leading into my next retrospective because I'm not one to stop, despite what my wife wants, to doing a full Child's Play retrospective for the second half of the year. So all the films and into the TV show. And including the remake with Mark Hamill voicing Chucky. So
Aubrey Plaza, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So yes, that's the next thing. So yeah, check that out on 20th Century Geek. And Stories Out Time and Space continues all of our me and Julian doing all of our reviews. And we've just been putting a lot of stuff out at the moment that was in our Patreon before we catch up to the next season. But we've got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. And yeah, there'll be some announcements coming in the future for some writing and stuff. So hopefully, fingers crossed for that comes soon.
Amazing. Thanks so much, mate.
Oh, thank you.
Every conversation with Scott always unearths some treasure I'd not previously thought of, and he discovered the goods again here. I'm sure you'll agree. So, I extend my thanks to him once more for joining me for this particular adventure, but to you too, listeners, for your continued engagement and participation as we journey through the reconnaissance. That was Sahara. Next up in a fortnight, I'm going to be joined by Math to discuss Eminem's performance as Brandon in DJ Caruso's Two for the Money, for those that are watching along. Until next time, be excellent to each other and make sure you take the time to treat yourself too. I am Jack signing off. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers.
You just gotta keep living, man. Livin.
Cut.